you, Madam Chair. Minister Mendicino, thank you for joining us this afternoon. Before I ask my two questions, I really wanted to place on the record and state my support for Bill C-8. The first question I want to ask you about, however, is about labor shortages, and specifically labor shortages in relation to healthcare. At the beginning of the pandemic, long-term care homes, rules around workers working on only one location shifted and exposed what we already knew. We have a severe shortage of qualified healthcare workers, especially lower skilled and lower paid healthcare workers. Healthcare is, of course, in the purview of provinces, we know that, but many view immigration as an important, if not central, strategy to increase the pool of available workers in this and other sectors. According to the Conference Board of Canada, we also know that over the next 15 years, we will need to more than double the number of beds in long-term care homes to meet the demand, which means we will need to find individuals to staff those beds. So we have a pressing issue now that will only get worse as time goes on. How do you and your colleagues in Cabinet plan to address this labor shortage where immigration can help and where newcomers, asylum seekers, can provide a significant increase to the pool potentially of available workers? Have there been any collaboration with the provinces on the specific needs in provincially regulated sectors? And are current policies sufficient in your mind, or do you think we need to be more aggressive?
Thank you for both of those questions, Senator. And it allows me to highlight what I think is one of the main economic imperatives behind having an ambitious immigration agenda, and one that has served us very, very well over the course of our evolution as a country. Senator, you pointed out that there are labor shortages, and you identified the healthcare sector as being an area where there are acute gaps in labor domestically. And I would just to be more specific, say that roughly 1 in 3 of the doctors and nurses and pharmacists that work on the front lines of our healthcare system is an immigrant. And so just imagine for a moment if we were to remove, roughly a third of our workforce. I mean, it would put under even greater strain healthcare for Canadians at a time when we need it so demonstrably as a result of the pandemic. And so what we have tried to do over the course of our strategy to respond to COVID-19 is to shine a light on the contributions of newcomers who are already here, so that we can provide them with legal pathways to stay in Canada. And that is something that we did when we created our essential workers pathway for up to 90,000, and there has been significant uptake. But also to continue to be, again, ambitious in our immigration agenda. We've set a target of welcoming 401,000 new Canadians. It is our belief, and this is, we think, very much supported by the evidence, that by growing the country through immigration, that we will create jobs and further growth and prosperity. And so by creating these pathways, which we think we can align to where the shortages exist, including in the healthcare sector, we can address those shortages and also create that long-term growth that we all want.
Minister, I'd like to move on to my second question, which I'll pick up from what you just talked about, welcoming for over 400,000 immigrants, I think you mentioned. I really wanted to focus in, and I applaud that. Obviously, that's a needed strategy. As co-chair of the Canada CARICOM Friendship Group, one of the things I've heard repeatedly is that consulates in many CARICOM countries have restricted their access and their services due to the pandemic. These restrictions make it very difficult for folks to begin to process applications to come to Canada. Minister, you seem to be confident that Canada will meet its immigration targets for 2021, despite the number of barriers that are presently in place for existing applicants. How widespread is the issue of restricted access to consulates to your knowledge? Is this something that's occurring solely in the CARICOM region or elsewhere because of COVID? And what are the additional resources, innovations, or strategies that you have put in place to overcome these
Senator
issues?
Moody. I'm sorry, Senator Moody, your 5 minutes is over. We now move to Senator